Здравствуйте, я Jenny, по-русски Jana, и это College Russian. Today I am sitting at a statue of Daniel Webster, and I thought it was a good idea to do a video for language nerds. So my students often ask me questions about fun little tidbits about the Russian language, but I don't always have time to talk about them in class. So in this video, I'm going to do a video, tell you about some fun little facts about the Russian language. Daniel Webster tried to simplify English to make it easy, the spelling easier. Wasn't very successful, but the Russians did the same things. The Bolsheviks, after the Communist Revolution, tried to simplify the Russian alphabet, and they took out several letters, and we're going to talk about those today in the video. So stay tuned. So just like Daniel Webster tried to make English spelling more simple, the Soviets were actually very successful in doing the same thing to the Russian language. So have you ever pulled up Pushkin or Tolstoy in their original 19th century versions and you're like, what? I can't read half of this. That's because there used to be some letters in Russian that the reforms of 1918 got rid of. So where did these reforms come from? So in 1918, the Soviet People's Commissariat of Education put out a decree and a set of reforms to try and make the Russian alphabet more simple, make it more approachable for the average person. Because at this moment in history, a huge population, a huge percentage of the population in Russia was illiterate. So one of the big campaigns from the Soviet was trying to get everybody educated and teach everyone to read. So what they did is they came out with this decree and they got rid of letters and then they changed certain letters and tried to simplify the whole process. So the first one that they changed was the letter yer. Okay, so the yer, we still have that in today's Russian, but it's now called the hard sign or the tvrdy znak. So if you look at Old Russian, you'll notice that yer is everywhere. And now in modern Russian, you don't actually see tvrdy znak or hard sign very often. This is because back in pre-revolutionary Russian, anytime you had a consonant at the end of a word, you needed to say whether that consonant was a soft consonant, and you'd do that with a mягкий znak or a soft sign, or you'd use a yer to show that it was a hard consonant. So this is why we're getting yer everywhere in Russian writing. So then after the reforms of 1918, they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to assume that all consonants at the ends of words are hard, unless otherwise indicated by a mягкий znak at the end. So that's why to this day, you only see mягкий znak at the end of a word, and you don't ever see a tvrdy znak at the end of a word. The next letter that they changed, it's not that they got rid of, the next letter that they changed is E, right? So this is called E десятиричное, or decimal I. It looks just like our English I, and it's too bad they got rid of it because it would have been way easier for us English speakers. So they changed it, and that became today's modern E. But if you know Ukrainian, Ukrainian still has this decimal I in their modern alphabet. So a little interesting fact there. Now the last letter that they got rid of completely, and it's actually one of my favorites because I'm a nerd and I have favorite letters, is yat. So yat for the Soviets represented the class divide. It was a symbol of the elitism of the bourgeoisie. It made the same sound as ye, and so it was really only if you were very educated that you knew where to write yat and where to write ye. And you could see it next to each other in the exact same word, and it really was just a matter of your education if you knew how to spell things correctly. So the Soviets got completely rid of that yat, and they don't have it anywhere now in Russian at all. Now, if you wanted to get super nerdy, this is maybe for another video. Probably technically centuries and centuries ago, the yat had its own distinct sound and own distinct pronunciation, but it merged with ye over the years, and so then by 1917 it was totally and completely redundant and they got rid of it altogether. So for those of you who are learning Russian because you love Russian literature and you want to read the great Russian authors in the original Russian, now you can really read them in the original in the pre-revolutionary form that they would have been written in. That's your nerdy language fact about Russian for this week, and I hope to do more videos like this in the future. Пока!